How's the trading week been? For me, it's been in between, good, not too good. I just had a situation just now that really pissed me off. I had a trade on GJ that stopped me out on break even just because the broker spread and we switched into Sydney session. You know, the midnight close situation, price just wicked me out on the break even and I got, stopped out for no reason. Really annoying situation. But yeah, let's focus on the good. Um, we missed a trade on gold this morning. This was a learning experience because looking back in retrospect, I was thinking, how did I miss this? It was really literally sitting in my front. But probably I've overthought the situation or probably just done something wrong. But regardless, it's all a learning experience. So I'm grateful for each and every of the experience I have in the market and what it's teaching me. Overall, on Monday, I had a winner on gold for 2 hour. I had a stop loss yesterday. This was another very, annoying situation. Price just wicked me out, probably not even up to 2 pips, and boom, just fell flat. So, in retrospect, because from every trade I take, I'm always trying to figure out what is the learning experience in this and how can I do better on the next trade. So probably I set my stop loss above this structure because I one of the things I've learned with gold is it has this tendency to grab liquidity on previous highs and previous lows. So probably that was my mistake here. I was using the 1 hour high on this situation this week on the 1 hour to set the stop loss. Probably it didn't just work. So um not a bad idea because that was what I did here. But I think the problem with association, thinking what worked here should work here. But at the end of the day, I was able to learn something. That doesn't mean if I do this on another trade, we probably would have a winner. So it just depends on the day. And today nothing from gold. Then if we go to GJ, it's been it's been a very crazy situation on GJ. I took a loss on Monday, took a loss on Tuesday. Fine plays, but these are part of the data that sums up my trading methodology, or these are part of the build up for my trading strategy. I took a trade here today. My entry was around this level here. Stop loss. I set the stop loss above this high because I felt price might come to this level before dunking, but we just went up a little bit and down and dunked. I wasn't able to get a 1 to 2. Price came back for a retest. The broker stopped me out during Sydney session. Very painful situation because on the account I took this trade on. I'm supposed to pass a phase 2 stage on an account. So yeah, it is what it is. A learning experience. One of the things I've been able to decipher from this situation is to switch between I trade funding pips and I've seen this situation happen time and time again on funding pips, where on GJ especially the spreads are ridiculously high. So I'm gonna give FTMO a test. If because I trade FTMO too, I'm gonna switch the portfolio to FTMO. If that doesn't work, I'll just have to stop trading GJ because it's just costing me unnecessary losses, unnecessary break even. There are 2 times where I should have passed accounts and made money, and price just weak. It's close to my break even point, and take me out on break even for no reason. So yeah, these are some of the learning experiences, and all this comes from data. So I'm gonna put this data here in all caps. Data is very important in the market. Everything we do trading professionally is just accumulation of data and execution. So I think I'll break it down into three facets. So I'll say data, psychology, psychology, and execution. Execution. So data is everything that sums up your trading. So when I mean sums up your trading, so the time you wake up to trade, the strategy you trade, you know, the time frame you trade, the portfolio you trade, the amount of portfolio you trade, you know, the times you want to come onto the chart, news, fundamentals, everything all together embodies data. So data is very, very, important. Is a big face as a trader. Then we'll talk about the psychology. Psychology is also very big. Um, Overall, if I'm going to draw a pie chart, which I'm not going to draw a pie chart, but if I'm going to draw a pie chart, I'm going to give data, let's say data 30% in the overall build-up of what makes a trading methodology. Psychology, I'm going to give psychology around about 50%. Then I'm going to give execution 20%. So why am I doing it this way? So data, like I said, data is very important in this space. It embodies a lot. I made some notes here. So data includes some of the data that we have to collate together to make a trade or before I can take a trade. Includes, historical price movement, the trends, support and resistance level. Then when we talk about economic data, we can talk about news releases, inflation reports, interest rates, economic, figures that influences the market. Then performance data is your win rate, your risk to reward ratio, your trading journals, all the statistics that help you evaluate, and improve your strategy. I'm going to break all of this down one after the other. I'm going to speed on some situation while some I'm going to take my time. So before I come on, explaining how data and everything works, let's come back here and talk about, you know, now we've been able to get a base. When I mean a base, in terms of what data is like. So I'll show you an example quickly on situations like data. So I have a prop trading account I'm positioning. So this spreadsheet is for collation of data. So now it starts from my budgets for my prop accounts and my budget for trading. It goes on to, you know, my withdrawals, profit generated. Then it also goes on to the accounts I trade, how I, alternate accounts because I trade different accounts. I place different positions on different accounts because it's a prop space. And this is on my swings account. Now, this is simulation. So my simulation sheet is literally, back testing. When I back test at the end of every month, what are the expected return on any, test sessions I've done? So these are everything that encompasses the data. So you see that it's a big space. It's a big space. Then we come to psychology. Psychology is important because one of the things that make up a trader is how you think about a thing you do. That's why the normal person cannot trade because no reasonable thinking person can take 3, 4 losses in a row and keep executing that strategy. And that's something very normal in the market. That's something very normal for professional traders. We can go through motions of losing streak and we are still respecting, the terminologies, the data, our strategy and everything, all that juicy stuff. So psychology is important. It's how you think about what you do. Very important. Then execution is just 20%. But I'm not going to downplay execution because if you don't have a good trading methodology, you can be messing up in the markets. So the timing, the precision, executing with the right, broker, the right spread, everything encompasses execution. Being in the right frame of mind when you want to execute is very important. So All of this are the build up for what makes a professional trader. So overall, we have data 30%, psychology 50%, and execution 20%. So I'm going to break all of this down, but I'm going to be focusing on data. So the topic we're going to be discussing today is, how important data is to our trading. How important is data to a professional trader? So, but before we get onto that part, let me quickly do a breakdown on my week so far, you know, on the swings account. I've done a breakdown on the 15 minutes time frame, which are my day trading account. So I'm going to quickly do a quick rundown on the swing account. So I took a loss on S&P 500. This originally thought we were bullish, but I think NAS just dropped dramatically, which I don't want to call it dramatically because people actually saw a reason for it to drop. That's why it dropped. So it's not going to be. I didn't see it, and then my methodology didn't give me anything to trigger on. So which is good. On gold, I've not really seen anything at all. BTC, I took a sell, but I didn't execute this trade. I executed ETH instead. Why did I do that? Um, when I was on the build up of this play, I didn't really see the play happening, but I saw it happening on ETH. And some of the things I've learned from my time and my time in the market is that I don't take, because BTC and ETH correlate. So I don't take the same trade. I don't take two. If I have a position, if I have a trade idea on ETH and I have a trade idea on BTC, I just action one. Because if BTC is buying, ETH is most likely buying. And if BTC is selling, no matter how juicy the setup for a buy, is on ETH, most of the time it sells. So if I have trade ideas on both of them, I just take one just to be on the safer side. Then on US oil, this is also a learning opportunity. I was looking to sell this last week, but when the week closed, I thought price was going to come back to this particular level, but price just closed back into the weekly range from last week and just kept selling. No retracements, just kept going down. On GJ, nothing. On Euro AUD, nothing. On GU, I'm currently selling GBP USD. I even popped that on my Telegram channel where, if, okay, I even popped that on my Telegram channel. So for those of you that want to join the Telegram channel is literally just up here. So that's for GBP USD. For USD CHF, nothing. So it's been a decent week. It's been one loss on S&P 500, one win on ETH for a 2 hour. I'm expecting this to be a winner, depending on how the day closes. Because at the moment we have a good close on the daily, so it just depends on how tomorrow and Friday decides to unveil themselves. So with that being said, let's go back to the topic on data. So I'm gonna copy this and bring it here so we have a proper discussion. So we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk. So data. Data is key in this space. It is very important to know every piece of information you need to know about your strategy. You need to know how prices move. You need to know your support and resistance level depending on how you trade. If you trade fair value gaps, if you trade SMC concept, regardless, you just need to know everything that makes up your edge. So trading, I'll classify it as probably you have a car, you have a Ferrari, and if you take the engine off the Ferrari, it's not going to move. If you take the doors off the Ferrari, it's not going to look as beautiful as it is. If you take the slick bends off the Ferrari, what makes a Ferrari a Ferrari? It's not going to give that Ferrari vibe. So that's basically what trading is. If you take the your risk to reward off the strategy, it's not going to be how it is. If you take journaling off the strategy, it's not going to be the same thing. So these are all the things that encompasses, data. We look at historical price movements. When we talk about historical price movement, we look at situations like support and resistance levels like this. Price has stopped here once, has stopped here the second time, like we had weak rejections here, and we have a big maribozu. This is giving us an information. So how prices move, the trends, everything that encompasses your strategy is, all the things that you need to collate in your data. So you need to know your win rate. How often do you win? Do you have a 50% win rate? Do you have a 20% win rate? Do you have a 70% win rate? Do you have an 80% win rate? All of that, you know, remember, when we talk about 50, 20, 70% win rate, it's not on any particular trade. It's over a series of trade. So your risk to reward ratio, do you do a 1 to 2? Do you do a 1 to 3? Do you do a 1 to 5? Do you do a 1 to 1? All these things are the data you need to collect. It's very important that you know all of this because, like I said about the Ferrari, illustration, one piece is missing and you are out there scrambling, you know, when you want to take a trade. You need to know your execution time, very important, the timing. When do you come to the market? Do you trade Sydney session? Do you trade New York session? Do you trade London session? Depending on the zone, depending on the country you are. If you're in America now, you know the US session is better for you because London session is probably going to be midnight, and you might be sleepy trying to take a trade, which is not good. So all of this put together makes up the data that that makes up your own strategy. So these are the things we're talking about. You see how data is very important. We talk about your journal. I was showing you my journal very recently. You can see this needs to load. I'll show you my journal. You can see I journal everything. You know, take profit, stop loss, psychology, all of that. That was all of that juicy stuff. You need to journal everything. What happened on any particular trading day, how were you thinking, how were you executing. So these are all the things that makes up a trader. A trader is 30%, like I said, 30% psychology, 30% data, 50% psychology, and 20% execution. So all of this I've been talking about, you have not even executed a trade. These are all the things you need to know. When is the news coming out? Is the inflation report that's going to come out by the Fed going to affect your trade? If the inflation report comes out, is it going to be bullish on the pair you trade? Is it going to be bearish on the pair you trade? When interest rates come out, how is it going to affect your trade on any particular day? Are you supposed to be trading on that day? Do you trade the news? All of these things come together, but it takes time. So a trader needs to really evaluate your data, have it all written down. I also have my trade plan. My trading plan is here. I'm going to open this quickly. My trading plan is here. So you see that what makes a trader is what the amount of data a trader accumulates, the amount of data put forward to be able to take any particular trade is very intense. Like this is a performance sport, so nothing is missing out. It's just like a footballer that he knows when he trains, he knows what he's supposed to eat, he knows what he's not supposed to eat. All of that together, what makes a trader? You know your routine, you know when you're supposed to wake up, you know when you're supposed to not be on the charts. If you trade New York session and you trade London session and you don't trade Sydney session, when there is an opportunity on Sydney session, you shouldn't be taking it because your data literally tells you not to do it. If you find out you win better on New York session as opposed to, Sydney London session, you probably just focus on trading New York session. So these are all the things that makes up a trader. A trader It's 30% data, 50% psychology, and 20% execution. You need to know your data. Nothing should be missing out. And the more you trade, the more you know. The more time you spend in the market, the more you know, the more the amount of data you accumulate. So as I was trying to show you guys my trading plan, so you see, this is a trading plan. You see how lengthy a trading plan is. I talk about my trading mantra. You know, I talk about my goals. I talk about the pairs I trade. I talk about the hours I trade. I talk about my entry confluences. Everything is detailed on my trading plan. I talk about, classing my trade, A plus setup, A setup, B setup. I talk about my playbook. I talk about, the rules that encompasses why I trade. I talk about my do nots, the things I do not do. I do not FOMO. I do not, I do not be scared of losses after a couple of trades. You know, these are all the things I talk about. It encompasses my top-down analysis. It encompasses how I take profit. It encompasses how I put a stop loss. So even down to my whys in the market. So these are the amount of data a trader needs to put together. That's why trading is it's not an easy game. Execution is easy. That's why I put it at 20%. Building the model is not easy. Building a model that works, because building a model that works requires you to fail time and time again, because you are basically trying and make doing a situation of trial and error, making a bit of A and B testing. Is this working? Is this not working? Regardless of if even if you have a mentor can show you his trading methodology, do everything that he's supposed to do, but he cannot hold your hands. You need to go and do your own thing. Trading basically is an expression of yourself. So in expressing yourself, you need to know how to express yourself. What data, what are the, what are my do's and don'ts in the market? How do I, manage myself properly in this space? So it is important to, like I said, it's important to know your data. It's important to follow through on your data. And also, the more you trade, the more you learn, the more you add to your data. So it's a good experience, but it's an experience where you need to take your data very serious. You don't have to do not miss out on anything. And yes, like I said, it takes time. So take all the time you need to arrange yourself, your mental state together, so that you can you know be a professional in this business. It's been 25 minutes rambling and talking. I need to figure a way where you know I can have a chat with you guys on the live metrics. I know it's going to take time because I literally just started this thing like last week or so. So this is all I've got for you guys today. Take your data serious. As a trader, you don't want to be trading with a skewed data. It's very important you know your data. It's very important to know why you are in a trade, why you are taking a trade, what are your reasons for executing any particular trade. Is key. So with that being said, um, I'll see you guys when I come on my next live. Maybe tomorrow. I think I should be trading New York session tomorrow with you guys, so we can have a talk and you know understand more. It's going to be a different topic tomorrow. I'm looking to live trade tomorrow, New York session, probably trading gold or whatever is available. That being said, I'll see you guys on my next live. Bye for now.